I like it.
It's a good day for that.
That looks good.
I like it.
All right, let's go ahead and get started since it's about almost 11:05 now. So welcome everybody to Women's Council Realtors Seattle Metro. Today's meeting, we have Sarah with Office Moms and Dads, our strategic partner with the ECU, Brandy, and we also have Noelani, who is a volunteer with Office Moms and Dads, as well as a board member with our network. Okay, so just a quick reminder, if you are not speaking, please put yourself on mute if you can, and we'll get started. So really quickly, if you could just introduce yourself, Sarah, that would be great.
Yeah, totally. So I'm Sarah Desjardins with Office Moms and Dads. I'm co-founder and executive director, and I am based in Vancouver, Washington.
Awesome. And Brandy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, yes, Brandy Hecker. I'm Senior Manager Mortgage Sales. I manage mortgage advisors in the East Side and Tukwila for BECU. Happy to be invited today. Thank you.
Noelani?
Hi, I'm Noelani Chavit. I'm with Reallogic Sotheby's International Realty, and I'm also a volunteer with Office Moms and Dads in their Everett office.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Office Moms and Dads is something that we stumbled upon actually because Noelani brought it to one of our board meetings. During our initial meetups last year, we talked about what is an organization that we feel very passionate about, some group in the community that we would like to support. And Noelani brought up Office Moms and Dads. So I don't want to butcher it. You did such a fabulous job of explaining what it is. So Sarah, do you want to explain what that is?
Yeah, so Office Moms and Dads is an organization that mobilizes community members, so volunteers, to go into child welfare offices and sit with kids who have just been removed by CPS due to abuse or neglect. So these are kids who have had just a rough childhood that no kid should ever have to endure. It's finally, the case is built enough to warrant removal by the state. And so, what happens is the social workers come, they grab the kids. A lot of times there's law enforcement involved, tensions are high, it's chaos. They grab the kids with the clothes on their back and maybe something that they can grab on their way out. Generally, all that stuff gets thrown in the trunk of their state car. They get driven to the child welfare office closest to them, and then they get to sit by themselves or with their social worker in her cubicle for hours until a foster home can be found or a relative that they can go to. So we just fill tangible needs. We provide clothing and snacks and a comfortable, happy environment for these kiddos to wait. We do therapeutic toys, and most importantly, we provide a caring companion for them to just be with. So we try to absorb some of the trauma and be a soft landing for these kiddos.
Okay, and then just to clarify for everybody else as well, where is the Office Moms and Dads? Like, where are you guys located? Is this a separate building from the main building?
Yeah. Okay, that's such a good question. Yes, because I forget that, we do have to explain this. So Office Moms and Dads is based here in Vancouver, where I am, but we have 27 locations. So we are in 25 child welfare offices in Washington and 2 in Idaho, and we are growing, or we keep growing, which is great. But we actually use the child welfare office itself. So each office has visitation rooms where families can go and visit with each other under the supervision of a social worker. So really what we do is we come in and we kind of take over one of those rooms, and we usually do what we call a room refresh and make sure that that room has a TV, a PlayStation, leather couches, because leather's wipeable and cleanable, brand new toys, and just really love on a space in that office that can be kind of the Office Moms and Dads room.
I see.
So kind of making it so it's not so sterile too, and enjoyable for children to be in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Really quick question. So what is like a usual day for someone who is there at Office Moms and Dads? Like, what is a usual day for a social worker who has brought a child into that setting?
What is it? You okay? So
Aren't throwing curveballs at you.
yeah, you are. So when, a child welfare case has to build, right? Unless it's an emergent situation where law enforcement are come to a call and they're like, yeah, these kids can't stay here. That doesn't happen so often. So normally, people like mandatory reporters, teachers, doctors, nursery workers, they'll call our intake hotline, not ours, the state's, and kind of a case will build against this family, saying, so many neighbors have called in and reported this, what they're seeing. So that builds a case. From there, it will go either to the CPS unit, which does the removal, or it goes to the FAR unit. Shoot, I can't remember what that stands for. It's an acronym. There's so many acronyms. And the FAR unit is really responsible for keeping the children in their home. They say, you know what, this family just needs some assistance here. And so they will plug that family into the programs that they need to keep their children. And they'll supervise them. They'll make sure that they're on track for that. And if they don't stay on track, then that case goes to CPS. So we're dealing with the CPS line of things, where the family has tried and failed and they cannot keep their children safe. So the state comes in and removes them. So the social worker goes out, picks them up, brings them back. Without OMD, like I said before, those kids would still be under the supervision of the social worker, but she's got a mountain of paperwork to do. So she's filling out court reports, reports for all these different entities to make it legal. Because if they don't do that, if there's a hole in their reporting system, the family might get their kids back and it might not be time yet. We always advocate for whole families. We want whole and healthy families. And so all of the parameters that have been put in place for these social workers, which is ultimately bureaucratic red tape, it's all meant for the safety, and it's a safety net around this family. So the kids would have had to just sit there with the social worker while they're doing their work. And if you can imagine corralling a 3-year-old in a cubicle for 5 hours, it just doesn't work. It's not conducive to anyone's health. Did that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
So Sarah, you have such an interesting story, and always hearing about how this came to be. So I'd like to just hear a little bit more in your words of, how you're able to build this foundation and, where it started from.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was one of those things where I just had a posture of hands and heart open, and this is what we're gonna do. So at that moment in time, which was 7 years ago, crazy, I was a foster parent. I had adopted 2. I had 1 biological kid, and we had 1 placement. So I had 4 little ones in my home, and I'm all under the age of 5. And so I was at the child welfare office here in Vancouver just for a routine meeting, and walking through the office, I saw these 2 little girls running through the office, and they were giggling and laughing and just having a good old time. And their social worker was running after them. And I was like, oh, she's not doing her job, and why isn't she answering my emails? She wasn't my social worker, but I just thought, oh, maybe that's why my social worker takes a while to get back to me. There's more going on behind these locked doors than the community understands. So in the same moment, I was, continued walking through the office to where we were going to have our meeting. We passed a conference room, and there was a 9-year-old boy in there who was just like sinking into his office chair that he was sitting in. His social worker had bought a Happy Meal for him. He just kind of picked through it. He had another little care box thing that was provided by the community, and just nothing was making him lighten up or feel better, I guess, in the moment. And I could just see the weight of the world on this 9-year-old boy's shoulders, and he's alone. His social worker was across the hall trying to make phone calls after phone call after phone call to get a placement for him. And she knew that if she sat him in her cubicle, he would have to listen to that, all these rejections. And that's no. And so my mommy heart broke. Like, No, I can't, now that I know about this, I can't not do something. So it really began with 5 volunteers from my church who had some time on their hands. They happened to be kind of retiree stage of life. And I'm like, hey, you guys, you could come down to the office and sit with kids with me. And so we that's how it started. 5 volunteers, 1 office 7 years ago. And it's exploded because the program is so simple. It's just it's so intuitive. Of course we would come and sit with kids who have just had trauma happen to them. Of course. So
can you just explain too, like how you had mentioned before on a Zoom call with us, how you didn't really know about this until you're in the program, right? And you were there.
Yeah.
So can you explain about that a little bit?
Oh, sure. So, I mean, the state is very close-lipped about what happens behind their secured doors. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the reasons, though, is that social workers are not allowed to advertise for their needs within the office. So a social worker is not allowed to broadcast the fact that they need help with childcare or they could use some donations right now. They're not allowed to. I can as a community member. And so I used my platform as a foster parent because I was already kind of in with that and developing relationships with social workers. I was able to use that as leverage to say, well, you can't, but I can for you. And so, so did that answer your question?
Absolutely. And I love the aspect of it that, you can't ask for help, right? And that nobody knew about it, but since you were in, you could tell others about that. So I wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, we will shout it from the rooftops.
So I know that there's a new campaign that's happening right now. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about this Safe and Love campaign.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about this. We've actually been doing it kind of under wraps all year long. So basically the idea behind Safe and Loved, that's been our mantra this year, that office moms and dads exist to be a safe and loving space for children entering foster care, children who have just had something really traumatic happen in their life, and really the longest day of their life, the day that their whole world explodes, right? And when COVID hit and we all experienced a little bit of how it feels like to have your world explode, I think it really drove it home for me that this is the direction we need to go. So Safe and Loved means that we need to be better at mirroring the communities that we serve. So we have 25 locations within Washington, and Washington is a very diverse state in all the respects, geography and people and cultures that it pulls from. And we just need to do better at reflecting the communities that we're serving. So Safe and Loved is basically an ad campaign that we're launching next month with the money that we raise to advertise in Black and brown communities and really try to pull in those community leaders, those community organizations that are already doing good work. We want to be a part of their network so that they can in turn reach the children that are disproportionately being brought into foster care. So studies have shown it's something like 69% of Native American children are affected by foster care, and the disproportionality that Black and brown children are experiencing in the world of foster care is alarming. The national conversation right now, I mean, it's all about racial justice and those disparities that are innate in our systems. And I thought, nobody's talking about child welfare. Nobody's talking about the disparities that are happening in the child welfare system. But guess what? I can. So,
yay! There's your voice.
Loved is that we are really, really working to address those racial disparities within child welfare.
How do you get access to that data, Sarah?
There's national studies. So it's just a Google search, and you kind of have to pick and choose who you are really looking at, make sure it's a educational source. each state keeps track of their own records, so it does make it difficult to really do a deep dive. Also, they don't do a great job of keeping track. So it's beyond probably 2016, there's really nothing. So, yeah. It's recent that people have started paying attention to this.
So what does it look like, to be a volunteer? What does a day of a volunteer look like?
I'd
love to answer that. Great. So, with volunteering, I have to kind of mention the way that I came to find them. I definitely believe, it's important for us to be a part of our community. And I was like, I have a little bit of time that I want to and will carve out in my calendar to make sure that I'm doing exactly that. So I started looking online and I came across Office Moms and Dads very quickly. And so I reached out, I talked to Lisa Dupre, and we immediately scheduled, just kind of like almost like an interview, learn about type of thing. And so I went into the office over in Everett, and she walked me through, we did a tour, she showed me what they were doing, and I could just see and feel the energy and the love that was going into it. And it just impressed me so much just to see, how they found this need and really started working to fill it. So, with volunteering, we have a little app, and if a need comes up, you are able to schedule your time, if you're not going to be available for a few days or, so it's very easy to schedule and to be in touch back and forth. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's, I find so impressed is, I'm just so impressed is that, you don't just have to come in for any age. If you're comfortable with teenagers or babies or, whatever age group, or for all children, they give you that option where it's never like a forced thing if you're not comfortable. It's always, we want everyone to be comfortable. So they're very aware of the volunteers as well as the children. And so I was like, wow, the way this is thought through is just, it's fabulous, So, I'm a total softie, and I came in, for my first volunteer, time. And, it was with this little child who was, similarly aged to my younger one. And I mean, my heart just broke, but at the same time, I could see, her little brightness and just wanting to have this attention to sit down and just, give love to these kids. If they want a hug, give them a hug. If they want to eat, feed them, like take them and get them something precious and special, a blanket, a toy, like you have everything set up for you. So, I mean, you truly are just loving the children. That's all you're there for. You're there to give them love, and that's it, and to see their little sparkle. I mean, it's amazing, and learning that they need more men there, it's a lot of women. But, and a lot of, every race, and, they want to just have this diversity, so they see people that are like them or that they're comfortable with, and, you just come in and hang out with the kids.
What is the age range?
All.
Okay. Yeah. So typically we do 0 to 12. That's kind of our wheelhouse, but we do say that we'll watch teens if it's, if they really need somebody. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Do you ever get like families of kids where you'll have, 3 or 4 kids and, from the same family maybe that are, just multiple, any number of kids that are multiple coming in at the same time?
Yes. With child welfare is when it rains, it pours. And we will have sibling groups of 7, 8 come in sometimes. With sibling groups, it's usually the oldest has been what we call parentified. And so they have been the parent. They know how to take care of their siblings, and they usually do it really well. Mm-hmm. So in those situations, we just try to let the teens, usually they're, teens or older kids, keep taking the reins, because they're comfortable doing that. They want to do that, and they feel a sense of control doing that. And then we just assume the helper role. So I'm just going to bounce this baby while you change that one. And,
tell me what you need, and I'm here to support you.
Exactly. Yes. But we do sibling groups quite often. It is, it's, oh, my lights turned off because I haven't moved. I think the hardest part of the job, and Noelani, I don't know if you've experienced this, but when sibling groups start to get separated because we don't have enough foster homes for them to go to all together. So, we might find a group home for the 12-year-old, and we found a home that'll take babies, but then the 6 and the 8-year-olds, what are we going to do with them? So, and they start picking them off kind of one by one. And I've
seen that separation, and it's like the look in their eyes are like, well, what's going on? We're supposed to all be together, and sometimes they're going at different times too, so.
Yep. So there are heart-wrenching moments in this job, but wouldn't you rather absorb those moments with the kids than let them endure that by themselves? So it's worth it.
Absolutely.
We have a wealth of, of a bank of love in our hearts and in our beings that these kids don't, and so we can give that.
I'm curious about the process to become a volunteer, and is it only for 18 and over, or do you need younger volunteers also?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The state's requirements for volunteering at the social services offices is 18 or older. So you have to pass a Washington state background check. And if you've been a resident for less than 3 years, we do ask that you do fingerprints as well. And that's it. We have everybody attend an orientation at the office that they intend to serve at. So since COVID, we've been doing those via Zoom. So we've still been training people since everything went crazy. But our chances to serve have been fewer, so unfortunately. But
do you ever get? So is that online? Sorry.
Sorry, Kelly. No, I'm on a delay. Do you ever get couple groups coming in, to get more men in, maybe having, multiple people volunteering?
Yes, I absolutely love it when couples volunteer together. It's the best, and it's a chance to show these kiddos that marriages can last, or, that men and women can live with your partner or men, it doesn't matter, like that couples can be together and be harmonious, and it doesn't have to be chaos, and it doesn't have to feel icky. So I love it when couples volunteer together. It's wonderful.
I think it's wonderful too, because then the couples may even consider, hey, someday I might want to foster a child.
It's a great introduction, that's for sure.
Can I just tell you that we are somewhat of a gateway drug to people who are looking to get involved in foster care, because it's such a simple way to volunteer. It really is. We don't require much of you. And it's a great way for people to decide if foster care is for them, honestly.
And I know that Noelani was talking about there is an app, and you could kind of pick and choose, or say that you're available a certain time. Is there like a minimum or maximum that is set, or like, is it really flexible in terms of what you can do?
You can go in for an hour, even if they have a need for 3. Yeah. So one thing that I love about it, even if there's multiple children, sometimes we'll go in together, where no one's expected to, you set your boundaries, of comfort level, because it really is, if you're not comfortable, they're not going to be comfortable. So sometimes, even if you have an hour, go in for an hour, and then they will put, someone else can fill that other, 2, whatever it may be. So you really are in control of that.
Sarah, how long are kids there for sometimes at Office Moms and Dads?
Well, the official number is between 3 and 5 hours, but as foster parents grow ever more stretched, and we're looking at a flood of kids coming in once things start opening up again. It's more like 8 hours. So, and sometimes they come back multiple days in a row. So if you can imagine corralling a 3-year-old for that amount of time, because we can't take them outside. We have to stay within the locked doors for security. So it's rough. So that's why we make sure that we have nice toys. We have PlayStations, new TVs, new DVDs for these kids, because we are pulling out all the stops just to keep them occupied.
And snacks and food.
Oh yeah.
Lots of that. I'm always like, what do you want? you want to eat.
That's amazing. So that kind of leads me to the question of, I mean, things are a lot different now, right? I mean, we're doing this meeting via Zoom, right? How has COVID-19 affected office moms and dads and how you guys operate?
Mhm. Obviously, everything is shut down still, unfortunately. So I was just talking to Noelani about this. About half of our child welfare offices are still shuttered, like they're closed. Their social workers are working from home, doing ongoing cases and kind of triaging the worst of the worst reports. Every now and then, kids will go and get removed, but for the most part, things are just not moving yet. Which terrifies us because kids are still getting abused and neglected. It's just happening behind closed doors. So we figure that as soon as schools start opening up, kids start going into on-ground classes, that the mandatory reporters, the intakes will start rising, intakes being reports. And when that happens, there's going to be a flood of needs. Like, it's going to be intense. And we are figuring it will probably happen around the holidays, which is when things go bananas anyway. Families are under so much stress. They're in debt. They just want to give their kids a good Christmas, and people go bonkers around the holidays. So I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but things look grim right now. We just don't know what to expect when the doors open again. So we're just hanging on. We're asking, like, what can you do? We can keep raising money. That's what we can do, because we can flood the coffers so that when the needs start coming in, we've got what we need. We're ready to go. And that's why we've continued to train volunteers through Zoom as well, because I want an army of volunteers ready to go when this happens.
So how do you sign up and find out about volunteering?
Oh, sure. So go to our website. Let's see, I can type it in here. It's just officemomsanddads.com, all spelled out. And there's a location finder, so you can type in your zip code and find the office that's nearest to you. Okay. And it doesn't matter which office, is closest to you. It's whatever office you want to volunteer at. So if you work closer to King West, which is in downtown, and you live closer to Bellevue, I would suggest maybe doing the King West one. So.
Yeah, and so I also in here. Oh, sorry, no.
Oh, I was just going to say, so I found them on Facebook. So there's a lot on Facebook as well too, just to kind of keep up with, what's going on, or the Safe and Love campaign and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Follow us. Definitely follow us. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and share it with your networks too. Like that, this is how we grow, because we don't have a brick and mortar building. So we are kind of this like underground movement of people. And that's what we rely on. Our organization is people. So we rely on networks like yours to help us to spread the word. Keep the momentum going.
Absolutely. So I have it here in the chat room. There's a link to donate, right? But also, can you talk about the child welfare office wish lists and how there's different ones for each? I mean, each county has a different need, you were saying before.
Yeah. Noelani, did you want to talk about that?
Sure. So, each office, they have these amazing cabinets that are full and taken care of by the office moms and dads. So when children are coming in, dependent on age, they usually come in with just maybe nothing, maybe a little trash bag, anything that could be grabbed if there's time. So when they're coming in, we want to make sure that they have a backpack with clothing. We want to make sure that they have something that's just kind of for them to, hold, so whether it be a stuffed animal or a blanket if they're younger, or a toy, like, something new that's theirs. Yep. Also clothing. They may or may not have ever had anything really nice. So we like to get donations of, if you can, if it's on sale or you can find it, something brand name, give them a little swoosh shirt, something like that. It's important for them to feel you know, like they're in place with everything else going on.
Especially for
So
our teens as well. It's
yeah,
so important, especially because most of our teens, when they come into care, they actually have to switch schools to whatever is closest to their foster home. And so it's if you can get a Nike sweatshirt, oh man, that's going to go so far in helping that teen have some dignity.
yeah.
Where do you keep all that stock? Is it all in the one location?
Oh no, it's at each of the child welfare offices.
I mean, each individual location, but there's a lot of stuff there that I'm picturing.
Yeah.
There's a
Right.
lot of stuff. There's socks, there's underwear, there's clothes, backpacks, toys, food. So that's the thing is child welfare offices, they might have a vending machine or, you know, maybe, but otherwise, you know, we stock it with food for the kids, some mac and cheese or, you know, something really easy for them to eat. Or also, you know, if there's locally nearby, you know, fast food or some sort of food, gift cards, you know, go a long way. So each and every location, they have different needs. And so, you know, Sarah's been awesome with her team and they put together a list of the locations and what they have there. So going through on that Amazon list and, you know, really you can just donate directly through there and it gets sent directly and it's good to go, you know.
So each Amazon list is connected directly to the child welfare office that you see. And so that's going to go straight to our contact there. They know it's coming and they'll be able to stash it away till we can use it.
Yeah.
If we are donating some of the other items, like you said, if we're out, you know, we go and see things on sale and buy a big stock, how do we get those to the offices?
So again, on our website, in the locations tab, there will be an email address listed for each of the volunteer coordinators at that office. So that's a good way to get directly in touch with that site leader.
Okay.
That would be the best way to coordinate with somebody from that specific office.
Yes. Yeah. If you have an in-kind donation, for sure. Yeah. And if at the end of the day, you can just email info@officemomsanddads.com and we'll put you in the right direction. Yeah.
I see.
So Sarah, do you have a video or something that we could share maybe in an email to our network?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. We have a YouTube channel and we actually on the homepage of our website too is our little short 1-minute informational video. So head to the website and I can throw that link in there if you'd like.
I think I've also placed that on our Facebook group as well. I think I found several videos after you pointed me in the direction of YouTube. So we can certainly use one. But is there one that you would prefer for us to send out to the networks?
The one on our homepage, that one is probably the best. Okay. It's very short and gets the point across.
We'll get today.
Something I remembered too was that you told me that some realtors, when someone is closing on a property, they will give a donation and, you know, tell them that, you know, my gift is a donation to Office Moms and Dads. So it's a great way to bring awareness, but also, you know, helping out your community.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Nolly. So we have partnered with some local realtors down here in Clark County who decided to do a percentage of their closing costs, like 1%, you know. But for us, a small organization, 1% of closing costs is a big deal. And so they would give their clients the option to donate to an environmental charity, a charity that works with animals, or a charity that works with children. And so we were like the chosen charity for the children bucket. So if their clients just said, you know, we're passionate about children, then their check would go to us and their clients would get a little handout or something about where their money went. And it has been just a beautiful expression of home and heart and hearth, you know, which is everything that realtors stand for. And so it's been lovely to see the community buy into Office Moms and Dads in that way.
Yeah, that's wonderful. In fact, actually, as a board for Women's Council of Realtors Seattle Metro, our network has decided to donate $1,000 to just kind of get things started. And we would love to support in any way that we can.
Thank you. That's amazing. Thanks, guys. Fantastic.
Also, BECU and other companies, this is maybe another way other people can help is, you know, BECU is also making a donation in conjunction with the Women's Council. But also we can make sure we get you added to our share website. You know, if I go there and and the matching, BECU has a great matching program, and especially through COVID, we've run some actually 2-for-1 matches, so they'll triple my dollars. So I'll make sure you add it to that website on our giving site as well.
Thank you. And thank you for your contribution as well. Like that was very, very cool. Very generous of you guys. So really nice.
I think it's so cool what you guys
What you're doing is wonderful.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I also really commend you, Sarah, for like finding a need in the community. And it was behind closed doors, so not a lot of people knew about it. And the fact that you stepped up, I mean, you're not just moved by it, but the fact that you stepped up and created this and helped to move everyone in this direction, I think that that's wonderful.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Everybody can do it. Open hands, open heart.
There you go.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time and everyone for joining in on this call. I think this is a great way of sharing your guys' story, and we would love to support and continue to support. So all the links will be, of course, in this group chat as well, but it's going to be on our website and also our Facebook group. And we would love to help you guys in any way that we can. So
thank you.
Anyone have any other questions maybe before we?
Yeah, I've been monitoring the chat room here.
Yeah.
I didn't see any except for Kelly, where she was asking about where we could find out about volunteering.
Yeah, I also under normal times are the volunteer hours just Monday through Friday, or is it kind of a 7-day-a-week thing?
Yeah, that's such a good question. So unfortunately, it is Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Those are our office hours. The reason is that the state has social workers who are dedicated to after hours, and they don't have to do the same amount of paperwork that the other kinds of social workers do. So, so the kids are taken care of in just the same way after hours, but they're taken care of by paid staff. So, we just do 8 to 5 Monday through Friday.
Okay, and then I assume that the name came from sort of being a motherly or fatherly figure in the office.
Yes. Yeah, I know the name is a little sticky.
A little bit.
Well, so obviously having little ones at the time, I was like, okay, we've got soccer mom, we've got, room mom at school. Like, we need an office mom. That's what we need. We need an office mom. So
got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, Sarah, for your time and providing these links for us. I know that everyone wants to support. So I certainly will be looking into volunteering. I would love to do that as well. So
Yay, good.
Well, good.
Thanks
Okay.
for the word, you guys.
Thank you so much,
you.
Sarah.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. We're going to sign off now. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.